on this week's Goal Show. It's top versus bottom in Brazil as Fluminense continue their pursuit of a second title in 3 years. The latest on Thierry Henry's quest for glory in the United States. World Cup qualifying action from across the globe.
And most of the supporters, they don't really know what the truth is.
And Montpellier star John Utaka talked candidly about his time playing in England. But first, to Rio de Janeiro.
With just one defeat to their name all season, Fluminense had high hopes of extending their lead at the top of the Campeonato Brasileiro on Saturday as they hosted Atletico Goianiense. Confident because of their fine form, their supporters expectant given Atletico's position rooted to the bottom of the table. Winless in 6 matches with just 3 from 25 league games, Atletico began as ranked outsiders here, but it quickly became apparent they'd not come to make up the numbers on the Atlantic coast. Diego Guilhereta's powerful free kick provided a wake-up call to Fluminense, who were champions in 2010. They failed to respond to the setback though, and before half-time the home side found themselves 2 down. Rennie beating Fluminense goalkeeper Diego Cavalieri as Atletico made full use of a set piece once more. Facing a first home league defeat in almost a year, Fluminense staged a second-half fight-back. Their prospects of keeping their place at the top helped by Maurice Michael's close-range finish. It was to prove no more than a consolation, however, as Atletico Goianiense conjured the most surprising result of the season so far.
Vasco da Gama's new head coach Marcelo de Oliveira took charge for the first time on Sunday as they travelled to Cruzeiro. He replaced Cristóvão Borges, who resigned after a run of 1 win in 7. Cruzeiro had slipped down the table after 3 straight defeats, while Vasco claimed a 3-1 win over Palmeiras on Wednesday, 2 days after Borges' departure. But Oliveira's new side got off to the worst possible start just 4 minutes in. Renato Silva turned in Tinga's cross for an own goal, gifting Cruzeiro the lead. Vasco soon rallied though, as Nilton cancelled out his teammate's mistake in the 28th minute. This close-range effort levelled the scores. Ecuador's Carlos Tenorio had the pick of the second-half chances for Vasco 2 minutes after the break. The striker beat Fabio in the home goal, but couldn't find the target. And despite Vasco's best efforts, they were unable to claim the winner and were forced to settle for 1 point. Fluminense's dismay at defeat was eased late on Sunday as their closest challengers, Atlético Mineiro, lost at Náutico. Round 25 of the campaign also saw Neymar score twice as Santos won at Coritiba. It's Fluminense then with a 2-point lead at the top, although Atletico have a game in hand. Vasco are up to 4th, with Grêmio also in the top 4. At the other end of the table, Atletico Goianiense remain bottom.
To North America now, where the Major League Soccer season is at its business end. Defending champions LA Galaxy welcome the Colorado Rapids to the home Depot Center on Friday as they try to solidify their playoff challenge. The Galaxy were without David Beckham for the match, the 37-year-old suffering from an ankle injury. LA didn't seem to miss him though. Robbie Keane's run and Marcelo Salvaz's pass unlocked the Rapids' defence. The Irishman scoring his 12th MLS goal of the campaign. Swedish midfielder Christian Wilhelmsson was making his debut for the Galaxy following his move from Saudi Arabian side Al Hilal. And he capped a fine first performance with the second goal for the home side in the 59th minute. Not one Colorado goalkeeper Matt Pickens will want to witness again, however. Keane was denied his second late on when Pickens tipped his chip over the bar, but LA had already done enough. After a slow start to the season, Bruce Arena's team are back in the kind of form that saw them collect the overall MLS title last year.
Meanwhile, the New York Red Bulls were looking to extend their unbeaten run as they hosted the Columbus Crew at the Red Bull Arena. But it was the visitors who struck first, opening the scoring after just 3 minutes through Chilean midfielder Milovan Mirosevic. It didn't take New York long to equalise though. Former Barcelona duo of Rafa Marquez and Thierry Henry combining. Marquez setting up the French star for his 12th goal of the campaign. Chasing a first ever overall MLS title, the Red Bulls were made to sweat by their opponents, but snatched the lead 11 minutes from the end. Dax McCarty getting the better of the Columbus defence. Henry then made the point safe with a moment of inspiration deep into stoppage time. Somehow scoring direct from a corner, catching substitute goalkeeper Matt Lamson off guard. 3-1 it finished, with New York strengthening their bid for the Eastern Conference title. Elsewhere in MLS over the weekend, the Western Conference high flyers, the Seattle Sounders, were held by the lowly Portland Timbers. And the league's leading goalscorer Chris Wondolowski took his tally for the season to 19 as San Jose won at Chivas. New York's win means they're now just 2 points off the pace in the East with 6 regular season games left. 6 wins from 7 games means the Chicago Fire sits second behind Sporting KC. The Galaxy are third in the West and into the automatic qualification positions. The San Jose Earthquakes have 56 points from a possible 84, the best record in MLS so far.
Last week's headlines were dominated by the release of an independent report into previously unseen documents about the 1989 Hillsborough disaster, which claimed the lives of 96 Liverpool supporters. The report said police had wrongly tried to blame fans for the crush. Families of those who died have spent 23 years demanding to know the truth about what happened.
It is right for me today, as Prime Minister, to make a proper apology to the families of the 96 for all they have suffered over the past 23 years. Indeed, the new evidence that we're presented with today makes clear, in my view, that these families have suffered a double injustice. The injustice of the appalling events, the failure of the state to protect their loved ones, and the indefensible wait to get to the truth, and then the injustice of the denigration of the deceased, that they were somehow at fault for their own deaths.
South Yorkshire Police, who oversaw the FA Cup semi-final 23 years ago, revealed on Thursday that they were reopening investigations into the force's conduct.
Former Liverpool player Michael Owen insisted he'd wanted to sign for Stoke long before he put pen to paper at the Britannia Stadium. The 32-year-old said he'd been in contact with manager Tony Pulis for some time, following his release from Manchester United.
I spoke to the manager here, well, I don't know, roughly 3 months prior, so I knew that there was a strong possibility that I would come here, and I'll blame him for not making it happen so soon.
Joey Barton is an angel. That was the view of one of his new Marseille teammates as the 30-year-old loanee settles into life in France. The controversial midfielder is on a season-long loan from QPR, with the 12-match ban imposed on him in England for misconduct following him there. However, he is eligible for Europa League games and could make his debut on their trip to Fenerbahce on Thursday.
He's been an angel so far. We like him like that. He just needs to keep going. It seems everyone's been willing him to do something mad, which isn't good for him. I wouldn't like to be in his shoes and come here with everything he's been through.
Real Madrid defender Alvaro Arbeloa claimed talk of Cristiano Ronaldo's unhappiness at the club has been exaggerated. The Portuguese star claimed in an interview he was sad, without explaining why.
Too much has been made of what Cristiano said. I think that we shouldn't take it that seriously. We saw him yesterday and he was smiling as always. It's water under the bridge, and as Xavi has said, we are only focused on Sevilla right now.
And the future of former Real Madrid striker Klaas-Jan Huntelaar remained uncertain at the weekend, with the Dutch international understood to be stalling on a new contract offer at Schalke. Club officials insist the 29-year-old will stay with the Bundesliga club.
And former Chelsea boss Luis Felipe Scolari was sacked by Palmeiras on Thursday, with the club in danger of relegation in Brazil. The 63-year-old later claimed he wants to return to the Premier League.
Forced to miss Montpellier's Champions League clash with Arsenal this week because of a thigh injury, Nigerian star John Utaka has been made to wait for his bow in club football's biggest competition. It's a rare blow for the 30-year-old, who's enjoyed nothing but success in this city on the south coast of France. He made a telling contribution to Montpellier's first ever French championship, which came just 18 months after he left Portsmouth. Utaka spent almost 4 years on the south coast of England. The acrimonious nature of his departure from the financially stricken club in January 2011 still lingers.
I have to leave because at the end of the day, those people there didn't really do good for the club. Honestly, if they loved the game itself, they wouldn't have done something, most of the things they've done, and then try to push it on some other people. That's not nice. I mean, they lied. Honestly, I felt bad was for the fans, you know, who didn't really know exactly what went wrong.
Portsmouth's financial troubles have been heavily scrutinised since their FA Cup win of 2008, of course. Utaka was reported to have been on a wage of £80,000 per week.
I don't know, maybe they wanted to use me as scapegoat. I don't know. Because I knew that what they were saying was false. I said I will have the opportunity one day, like we are doing this interview, and I will bring my pay slip and everybody will see what it was. Because honestly, I felt bad because I said putting a blame on me on something that I did not, I didn't do. I think it's unacceptable.
Having seen his old club fall into League One, Utaka insists he wants to see Portsmouth back at the top level, having enjoyed success in his early years there.
I was happy, really, because it wasn't easy as well, saying that my first year in England and then winning the FA Cup for me is like, honestly, I never see that coming. The club itself didn't deserve to be where they are today because, I mean, it's a good city, you know, good fans as well, one of the best in the UK. So, but, I mean, hopefully one day they will still come back to where they belong.
Utaka was injured during Montpellier's league game at the weekend. He's hoping for a swift return to action so he can finally realise his dream of playing in the Champions League. Utaka's keen to ensure his name is no longer synonymous simply with the demise of one of his former clubs.
Coming up in part 2 of this week's Goal Show, Colombia go to Chile hoping to enhance their chances of World Cup qualification. And Japan host Iraq as they look to seal their place at Brazil 2014.
Welcome back to this week's Goal Show. Still to come, Argentina head to Peru looking to enhance their World Cup qualifying bid. And with the same target in mind, Germany make the short trip to Austria. Given high praise for their thumping 4-0 win against Uruguay 4 days earlier, Colombia were out to stake further claim for a place at the 2014 World Cup with a trip to Chile on Tuesday. 1998 was the last time Colombia appeared in a World Cup finals. Their head coach is Jose Pekerman, who took his native Argentina to the quarter-finals in 2006. With 4 wins from their first 6 matches, Chile had also made a productive start in qualifying, but found themselves a man down in the first half. Sevilla midfielder Gary Medel dismissed after clashing with Luis Pereira, the referee showing the red card after consultation with his assistant. Despite that, Matias Fernandez's long-range strike found the corner soon after, and Chile took a 1-0 lead into half-time. But any doubts about Colombia's credentials to make it to Brazil were brushed aside in the second half. James Rodriguez's stunning free kick set the tone for Colombia's fight back, the Porto star netting his second international goal. As the 10 men of Chile wilted in the Santiago heat, Colombia took complete control when Radamel Falcao converted Aldo Ramirez's pass. A 13th international goal for the in-form Atletico Madrid star. Falcao had scored in that famous win over Uruguay. Teofilo Gutierrez had netted twice, and the pair combined to extend Colombia's lead 2 minutes later. Gutierrez finishing from Falcao's pass for 3-1. Defender Abel Aguilar was sent off for a second bookable offence with 6 minutes remaining, but Colombia had already done enough to claim another highly impressive victory.
Argentina are hotly tipped to finish top of the South American qualifying group in the absence of Brazil. Alejandro Saber's men were looking to make it 4 straight wins as they made the trip to Peru. While they hadn't played over the weekend, Peru was still buoyant after a narrow win over Venezuela that had reignited their fading hopes of qualifying. Jefferson Farfan had scored twice in that game, and he won an early penalty here after a clumsy challenge by Angel Di Maria. But veteran striker Claudio Pizarro saw his effort saved by Sergio Romero, and the home crowd in Lima couldn't quite believe it. Undeterred, Peru came back for more, and when Luis Advincula's cross was turned in by Carlos Zambrano, Peru could at last start to dream of a first win over Argentina since 1997. With Lionel Messi little more than a spectator for once, Argentina had appeared short of ideas up until then, but with half-time approaching, Ezequiel Lavezzi broke clear. And with Peru appealing for offside, the Paris Saint-Germain striker crossed for Gonzalo Higuain. Peru continued to trouble Argentina after half-time, but Luis Ramirez's shot was the closest they got to victory. 1-1 is how it ended, and Argentina were happy to head home with a point. Elsewhere in midweek, Venezuela got back on the winning trail with a 2-0 triumph in Paraguay. And Uruguay needed a second-half Edinson Cavani equaliser as they were held by Ecuador. Argentina remained top of the South American qualifying group after just 1 defeat from 7 matches played. Colombia's fine showing in Chile took them second. Chile are down to 5th with Peru, Bolivia and Paraguay, all with work to do between now and next October if they're to qualify.
Germany's bid to make it to Brazil had started with an easy 3-0 win against the Faroe Islands. A much trickier task presented itself on Tuesday as they travelled to play Austria. It marked another return to the Ernst Happel Stadium in Vienna, where Germany lost the 2008 European Championship final against Spain. That was Joachim Löw's first major tournament in charge of Germany, aiming to take them to a 4th. The long-serving 52-year-old saw his side take the lead as Marco Reus found the corner. Veli Kavla's foul on Thomas Müller after the break saw Germany awarded a penalty. Real Madrid's Mesut Ozil making no mistake for his 12th goal at international level, and Germany appeared to be cruising towards another 3 points. Not so. Within 2 minutes, Austria hold themselves back into the game. Zlatko Junozovic turning in Marko Arnauzovic's delivery. However, despite late pressure, Germany clung on to match their result at the same venue in qualifying for Euro 2012.
We knew before the match that it would be very hard for us. They played well, and they have many good players in the German Bundesliga. Away from home, it was never going to be easy for us. We realised that in the last match here in Austria, when we only won 2-1 in the last minute. And this time, it has been very hard for us once more.
With maximum points after 2 games, Germany are top of Group C in European qualifying. Sweden kicked off their campaign with a 2-0 win over Kazakhstan and are likely to be Germany's main threat for top spots.
Defending world champion Spain embarked on the road to Brazil 2014 with a trip to Georgia. They'd warmed up for this with a 5-0 demolition of Saudi Arabia, a game in which David Villa had scored on his return to international action after a broken leg. In Georgia, the home nation put the emphasis firmly on defence, and with Villa on the bench, Spain found the going tough. Lifted by their first-half shutout, Georgia almost stunned Spain with the game's opening goal. But Alexander Amisulashvili's effort also struck the frame of the goal. Having played his part in Georgia's resilient performance, goalkeeper Georgi Loria had to go off injured in the 73rd minute. His replacement, Rowan Kvashkvadze, couldn't stop Alvaro Negredo giving Spain a lead they scarcely deserved. It was a goal which broke the hearts of the crowd in Tbilisi. And it was enough to give Vicente Del Bosque's team all 3 points. France are also in Group I. They followed up their 1-0 win in Finland by beating Belarus 3-1 on Tuesday. The top position could be one of the most hotly contested of all 9 European World Cup qualifying groups.
Over in Asia, Australia were without a win in the final phase of qualifying ahead of their midweek trip to Jordan. Eager to put that right, Tim Cahill wasted an early chance to give the Socceroos the lead. 3 minutes after half-time, Jordan's Oday Al-Saifi won a dubious-looking penalty. And Hassan Abdel Fattah squeezed his spot kick past Mark Schwarzer. Crystal Palace midfielder Michael Jedinak rattled the post as Australia came close to equalising. But Jordan, who'd been thrashed 6-0 by Japan in their previous Group B qualifier, went 2-0 up when Al-Saifi caused havoc again, crossing for Ahmad Adib to score. Archie Thompson halved the deficit with 5 minutes left, but it wasn't enough.
The final whistle has gone.
Japan's prospects of making it to Brazil are much better. In front of a crowd of more than 63,000 at the Saitama Stadium, they hosted Iraq, looking to consolidate their position at the top of Group B. After a fine stop by goalkeeper Eiji Kawashima from Ali Bajat Fadil's header, Japan took a 25th minute lead when Ryoichi Maeda headed in Shinji Okazaki's cross. Both sides had chances after that. CSK Moscow midfielder Keisuke Honda came closest, but he was superbly denied by Nur Sabri in the Iraq goal. And so 1 goal was enough as Japan took another step towards World Cup qualification. They have a 6-point lead at the top of Group B, having conceded just 1 goal so far. Australia have a fight on their hands, with only the top 2 gaining automatic qualification. The nation that finishes 3rd in each of the Asian final phase groups will face a playoff. South Korea topped the other Asian group despite drawing in Uzbekistan. Iran's loss in Lebanon saw them slip 3 points behind. Iran plays South Korea in the next round of World Cup qualifying in October.
Goal of the week time now, a chance for you to pick your favourite from 5 we've picked out. Botafogo's Clarence Seedorf topped our global poll last week with nearly 50% of the votes. His fine volley coming in his side's away game at Cruzeiro. Diego Guirieta is first up in our selection this week. His free kick for Brazilian strugglers Atletico Goianiense at Fluminense. Goal 2 is LA Galaxy's delightfully crafted opener against the Colorado Rapids, scored by Robbie Keane. Staying in MLS, Thierry Henry is 3rd on our list with his magnificent corner for New York in their meeting with the Columbus Crew. James Rodriguez's free kick for Colombia against Chile in World Cup qualifying is goal 4. And goal 5 is from European World Cup qualifying. This belter from Belgium's Guillaume Gillet against Croatia. And that's just about it for this week's show. Don't forget to vote for your favourite strike in the video section on goal.com.
On next week's Goal Show, Champions League quarter-final action from Asia. And group stage highlights from Central America as the CONCACAF region's top teams vie for honours.